With ceasefire efforts at the United Nations failing, the war in Gaza continues to rage. The U.S. has squarely blamed Russia and China for the ceasefire resolution at the United Nations failing through calling their veto move pure politics. The White House has slammed Russia and China over their veto of an immediate and sustained ceasefire. The two countries vetoed a U.S.-backed United Nations resolution calling for a truce, a move that the White House says is politically motivated.
This was a balanced, timely text, and it is in line with our long-standing calls for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza over a period of at least 6 weeks as part of a hostage deal. Nothing new there. The vast majority of the Council voted in favor of the resolution, some 11 other nations. Unfortunately, Russia and China vetoed it. That was hardly a surprise. They'd rather shoot down something that we authored simply because we authored it, rather than consider the strength of what it called for, with overwhelming Council support.
The showdown comes as the U.S. has before this vetoed ceasefire resolutions thrice. Russian ambassador to the United Nations has said that they are in line with wanting a ceasefire. However, he criticized, quote-unquote, the diluted language used by the Security Council. Meanwhile, United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres is set to visit the Egypt-Gaza border city of Rafah on Saturday. The visit is a part of the Secretary General's annual Ramadan solidarity trip. Guterres will meet with aid workers on the Egyptian side of the city, which is also a key gateway for aid supplies to reach the besieged enclave. He is also slated to visit Egypt's El Arish hospital, which sits close to the Gaza border. The visit comes just a week before Israel's planned ground offensive in Rafah, the move which, as per Israel, aims to wipe off Hamas, has been denounced globally over civilian concerns. Israel has also reiterated that it will attack Al-Shifa, which is the largest medical complex in the Strip, where most medical facilities have been flattened by Israeli bombardment. Now, ahead of the ceasefire vote in the United Nations, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Tel Aviv in hopes to expedite truce talks. Friday's visit was aimed at mounting pressure over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to stop the war. Around 1.5 million people are crowded in Rafah. Blinken added that there was no way for the amassed civilians to escape the offensive.
It risks further isolating Israel around the world and jeopardizing its long-term security and standing. So we're looking forward to having Israeli officials in Washington next week to talk about a different way of achieving these objectives that we share, of defeating Hamas and ensuring Israel's long-term security. It really requires an integrated humanitarian, military, and political plan.
During his visit, Blinken also met with anti-war protesters in Tel Aviv. Video footage showed the families of hostages and other demonstrators thanking the U.S. Secretary of State for continued ceasefire efforts. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.